Hello everyone and welcome back to the Nerfing Truth, where we give you the truth and honest reviews on Nerf and other foam blasters. Today we will be reviewing the Nerf Proton. It's actually part of the Vortex series, sorry about that, which uses foam discs as opposed to the darts. Now, what this means is that they can inherently go further as they have more of a disc quality to them, but it also means that they move through the air slower. So, let's just go over the basics of the gun. It retails anywhere from about $9 to $15. Currently, I know you can find it at Kroger type stores for about $10. It has one tactical rail on the top here, as well as a bit of a sling mount down here. Now, in order to load and prime the blaster, you must pull this back. You can see that it's got a space here. That is where you insert the disc. And then you simply push this button and it snaps forward. That means that the blaster is ready and able to fire. Simply pull the trigger and there it goes. Now, the pros and cons of this blaster. A pro would be that you can do ricochet shots, which are pretty fun. If you've ever tried to ricochet a Nerf dart, you know that it's quite hard to do. But this, will ricochet just about off of anything. I also really like the little mechanism. For some reason, it's fun. It's ambidextrous too, so you can use your left hand if you want. The cons, this blaster is pretty dang big for a pistol. You can't exactly just easily carry it. As well as the foam discs are really easy to dodge. Is it necessarily the most practical blaster? Probably not. But one thing that is good about these is they are quite easy to, I wouldn't say break, but if you didn't have the locks in them, they would. For instance, there's no disc loaded, you cannot pull the trigger. Otherwise, several other things such as the mechanism lock and everything like that. Now, if this blaster jams, you can actually hit this button and it'll unjam the, it'll basically make the foam disc fall out of the blaster. Now, for numerical values, let's go ahead and go over that. Alright, so going through the categories, let's go ahead and do distance or firing range. I would actually give this blaster a 10 out of 10 on that. For the compact size and just the fact that the discs do fire further, it is very good. It is possible to reach about 80 feet if you have it angled right. Of course, a disc isn't going to arc as much just because, the air is going under the disc. For accuracy, I'd actually give it a 9 out of 10. Basically because it shoots the disc very straight. Of course, since the disc is fired spinning, it will tend to arc to the right as that is how the mechanism spins it. So of course, if you compensate for that, it's going to be very accurate and dead on almost all the time. Reliability, I have never once had a jam with this blaster. I think that's mostly due to the locks in it or different things like that, as well as it is very just reliable, I guess. Now, even if you hold it upside down, the disc isn't going to fall out unless, of course, you press the unjam button, in which case it does. Now, the rate of fire, of course, terrible. It takes a long time to get a disc into the slot and then do that. So for that, it's getting a 2 out of 10, as well as the capacity. It comes packaged with 3 discs, but as most pistols, it can only hold 1 at a time. So that's going to give it a 4 out of 10. especially because I feel like there's a lot of space on this blaster to where you possibly could have had more discs being held. Now I know that the Vigilon is a bit of an equivalent to it, except it holds 5 in the chamber. I'm not really sure if I'm going to end up getting that blaster, but I have yet to see. So that actually gives this blaster a total of 6.9 out of 10 when you add it all up and divide it. That means that this blaster is a pretty good one. However, if you don't like the, discs as opposed to darts, don't get it, obviously. Now, would I recommend this for a Nerf war? If you're having a fun Nerf war and you want to use it, sure. If it's competitive, not really, just because, like I've said, the discs are pretty easy to dodge. If you're going to do HVZ, no. I mean, I've told you time and time again, this is another ammunition type that you would have to carry, which, they don't take up much space, but it would be more annoying to carry that type, as well as it's got a crappy reload speed. So I would not recommend that for either one of those. If you just kind of want a fun blaster that's pretty cheap, you can go ahead and go out and buy it. Of course, it's always up to your discretion. Now, one thing that's pretty interesting about this blaster is you can actually have it loaded without primed. That's something that I like because obviously if you have to keep a blaster primed, you're compressing the spring and it's making the compressed state more so of the natural state of the spring, which then you're losing efficiency with that blaster. So what you can do is you can load a, gosh, it's so hard not to say dart, an actual disc in the front of the blaster. Just let it slide down there. Now you just simply hit the button a couple of times and the disc is locked in there. So now when you prime the blaster, of course it does this, but you can see the disc is actually in there and it's able to fire. That's just a couple of tips. If you have any more about this blaster or you have an opinion about this blaster, make sure to leave it in the comment section and be sure to subscribe for future videos. We will see you next Thursday and you guys stay classy.